I'm Karina Bharne. I'm the Executive Director with Symphony Tacoma. I live in Tacoma, and this is my story. I grew up in East Brunswick, New Jersey, and I started playing the trombone when I was in 5th grade. And I didn't really think of music as a career for me, but I had a really inspirational band director when I was in about 8th grade, and then I started taking lessons, and then I thought to myself, okay, this might be what I want to do. So I went to college at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, and from there I learned about this amazing thing called arts management. So I have my master's in arts management from Carnegie Mellon, and I decided that I want to start managing orchestras. So from Pittsburgh, I lived in San Antonio, Texas for about 10 years, and then my husband, who's a bass trombone player with the Vancouver, BC Symphony, got a job up in Vancouver, and so I traveled with him, and now I'm here in Tacoma. So we have a long-distance marriage, but it's makes for a lot of long drives on I-5, a lot of podcasts, and thank God we have a Prius. For me, music was a way to both express yourself, but it was also a really fun challenge. So the thing that I love the most about music is that you can practice for a month, and then all of a sudden one day, boom, you can do XYZ skill. So for me, it was almost like it was a game, and I like that, and my brain works a lot like that. So when I started taking lessons privately, it was even better for me because I learned the skills that I needed to play trombone well. So while I didn't choose this as my ultimate career, even though I have a BFA in trombone performance, for me, it's given me a lot of skills that you don't get in normal classroom settings. So I was working for the San Antonio Symphony. I was their general manager at the time, and we had this collaboration with Ballet San Antonio. We were doing Romeo and Juliet, the score by Prokofiev. And it was during the dress rehearsal, so I was sitting watching from the audience, and the screen was lifted. You heard this beautiful score coming out of the pit. All the musicians were playing. And then from there, you see these beautiful dancers. And I'll tell you, at the end, there was maybe about 10 of us in the house just watching this dress rehearsal, and everyone was in tears when both Romeo and Juliet died. It was an amazing moment, and it still sticks out as one of the most profound and impactful musical experiences that I've ever had. So I worked for the San Antonio Symphony for about 10 years. I had multiple positions with them, both their personnel manager, their general manager, and then most recently I served as their interim executive director. And so my husband was playing with the San Antonio Symphony at the time. He was their bass trombone player. He got this job up in Vancouver, and I was looking for a position in the Pacific Northwest that was at the same level as what I was doing in San Antonio. So I needed a higher level position, and it was completely random. One day I was searching online executive director positions plus symphony. I was trying to help San Antonio make their job description for my replacement, and popped up Symphony Tacoma's listing, and I think the deadline was the next day. So I very quickly submitted everything, and it was part of a search process through a search company. And I had been to Tacoma before. My brother-in-law was living here, so I had seen the city. I had been down to Ruston. I really liked everything that I saw, and then they hired me. So now I'm here. Well, I love the feel of the city. Like I was saying to you before, we're down on Ruston, and this is my run route. And first of all, it's beautiful. Second of all, there's actually water. With where I was at last, there was no water, so this is a nice change of scenery. And for me, I just love the people here. It's I can go to Corina Bakery and see the same 3 people. If I go there twice a week, I see everyone's the same. And especially with our patrons at Symphony Tacoma, just seeing the same people, you get to know each other on a much deeper level than I have in previous positions. So I like this town a lot. Well, first of all, it's beautiful. You can't beat just walking down on Ruston on a sunny day, looking at the mountain, looking at the beautiful water that we have over here. It's absolutely breathtaking in so many ways. So I'll actually run down this area, run down Ruston Way. I have a mask. It's pretty difficult to run with the mask, but that's okay. And then when I don't have the ability to go into the office, I'll sit at Corina Bakery. I have an addiction to their cannolis. They are very tasty, and I really like the people that work there. So it's been a great experience for me just getting out of the house. But for me, just walking around different places of Tacoma has been really, really nice. I have 3 cats, Peach, Lola, and Ari. Peach is 15. Lola is ageless. We don't know actually how old she is. And Ari is my 5-year-old, but he is 22 pounds, so he needs a diet. In San Antonio, I was a part of a project called Spay, Neuter, Inject, Protect San Antonio. So we would go into different zip codes that couldn't necessarily afford to spay or neuter their animals, and we would do all of that for free. So that was really fun. And then I also worked with San Antonio Feral Cat Coalition, helping trap and then spay and neuter feral cats that are in different areas around San Antonio. So I actually haven't had time to do much here in Tacoma, though I would like to. But the areas that I lived in before had a much bigger population with feral cats. But yes, I am a cat lady. But proudly so. You know, some of our staff members have worked with Symphony Tacoma for over 20 years. Many of our musicians, I think our longest serving musician has been with the organization for 39 years. So you see the same people when they're on stage, you see the same people when you're renewing your tickets, and you just get to know us. We know each of our subscribers by name. I can identify the majority of them when they enter the hall in the Pantages, and you can't say that about a lot of organizations. It's a real small town vibe with Symphony Tacoma, and people like seeing also how the organization has progressed. Since Maestra Sarah came on a couple of years ago, the orchestra has really flourished, and it's interesting seeing all the changes that have happened within the past couple of years. Our last performance was in March of this year, and since then we've had to be as creative as possible. So we started doing a Facebook Live series where our music director Sarah would interview different guest artists, different musicians that we have within the orchestra, and then different members of our community. Initially, I was one of those people that thought this would last for 2 to 3 weeks. I was wrong, that's okay. So we're having to pivot this season. So our fall season will go all virtual, and we have developed quite a few series for all of our patrons that will be free, accessible by all. And we're trying to just give everyone a variety. So we have broadcasts of previous performances. We have some new music that we're recording as of tomorrow. And then we'll have continue on with our interviews on Facebook Live. But what I'm most excited about is that we are able to continue our work with Tacoma Public Schools as well as other districts that now have to teach online. So our musicians are able to do master classes and coachings in a variety of districts, whereas normally we would just focus on the ones here in Tacoma. So we're able to expand in a way and keep growing with what we're doing. So that's great for us. There's nothing that can take the place of live performances. You can watch as much as you want on YouTube or any other, on the internet, but nothing takes the place of live music. So I think there's always going to be a place for it. So we can transition as much as we want online, but there's nothing that beats the feeling and the rush and the excitement that you get when you listen to something live. So I agree with you that I think it'll still be here for years to come, and for the next period of time, we're going to have to transition and pivot. But I think when we're able to go back, we will be, and people just remember how exciting it is to go hear a symphony perform. I know that many people will say this, but I have the best team of people that I work with. I have the most amazing colleagues that make me laugh, that challenge me, that, I just could not imagine working with a better team, and I can't imagine working with a better group of musicians, especially during COVID. I think what I'm most excited for is that moment when I'm about to go on stage to give my curtain talk for the first time since COVID, and just that excitement that I'll have. And then when you walk onto stage and you see all the 1,000 people sitting in the Pantages, not socially distanced, maybe not in masks whenever this whole thing is lifted. It's just an exhilarating experience. And then the thing that excites me the most is just hearing the orchestra tune, because that's the start to any performance, and that will mean that we're back. I'm Karina Bharne. I'm the Executive Director with Symphony Tacoma. I live in Tacoma, and this is my story.